Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to HIMediaTV. I'm your host, Evan from HIMediaTV, and welcome back to HIMedia Headlines for today, June the 17th, 2026. Apologize for no episode yesterday. It was my day off. I decided to go pick up a new controller from the Walmart, pick up some Taco Bell to Taco Bell next door, take an edible, stream for 9 hours, and while simultaneously eating about 10 chalupas, a cantina chicken burrito, and a dozen Cinnabon Delights. I had a great time. You can go check out that VOD. It certainly is interesting. I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about Fallout. So, it has been basically confirmed that Xbox went to Bethesda and basically said, why the fuck have we spent money and made money on this fucking Fallout TV show that's doing gangbusters, and you're not even in pre-production for any Fallout game? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have an answer on that. Well, it has, as much as I very much do trust the vision of Todd Howard, certain things I'm just like, dog, shut up and just do this. He's so adamant about sticking to using Fallout as kind of like the testing ground for ideas and concepts for the Elder Scrolls, which is, the main thing he wants to work on. But that being said, to get to the actual news, we covered earlier this week about how Obsidian now has a Fallout project in the works by Obsidian. And we have a confirmation that project is, in fact, the pre-production for Fallout 5. Fallout 5. Not only do we have that, we also have explicit confirmation that both a Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 Remaster, both of which are going to be coming down the line. This is big news for me because while Fallout New Vegas is one of the best games that has ever been created, I'm going to be so for real. I prefer Fallout 3 for a myriad of different reasons. Including, hopefully, we will have, the engine changes with, we'll have some of the engine changes that came with Fallout 4, specifically as it pertains to the gunplay playing a larger role comparatively in the remakes themselves. It's not as pertinent in New Vegas, I would say. Fallout 4 has a lot of criticisms. Many of them are valid. Some of them I think are just people just set in their ways. But regardless of how people feel about the different mechanics that were added to the game and how story and all that, one of the things Fallout 4 really was excellent on was its gunplay. The gunplay in Fallout 4 feels really, really good. And that's because they had id Software come in there and help them suss it out. Now, even though id Software is fucking decimated, losing 90% of its staff, we did get an update that apparently it is now the size, once more, of the team that created Doom 2016. And Doom 2016, for all intents and purposes, was a fucking stellar game. So, I'm not particularly against... I am against it because, obviously, I don't want developers and them to have the knowledge drain that comes with layoffs, but I digress. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I kind of feel like I'm looking at just a mixed bag of things with Xbox. Xbox laying off 20% of its total workforce over in the tune of 3,200 people. Elder Scrolls Online's team being completely gutted, including the map and dungeon and content teams, which is kind of fucking important if you're doing a goddamn MMO. And id Software getting decimated. I think there are a handful of silver linings with this that with these Xbox changes that Armashwama is doing, that I think ultimately in the long run will be better for Xbox by and large, and having to sort of, fix a lot of the fucking issues that, not Pete Hines, whatever the last CEO of Xbox, that fucker was trying to, everything's an Xbox, that type of crap. Asha Shawarma is doing a pretty okay job in sort of writing that. And, from a purely business standpoint, like, she's making, I think, correct decisions of lowering costs and, spinning off studios that aren't necessarily going to be like big money makers. I get it. I just fucking hate that, like, that Xbox was put in this position in the first place. That being said, a combination of, taking away, Todd Howard's ironclad control on what's on the IPs of Bethesda and what they're allowed to work on and what they're not allowed to work on, and giving it to other studios like Obsidian, I think is a very, very good call. If I knew that this was going to lead to a Fallout New Vegas remastered and a Fallout 5 from not just Obsidian, but the guy who led the team on the original New Vegas. This time with, a proven track record of being able to make excellent games and, probably a lot more, all things considered, probably getting a little bit more leeway from Xbox to, like, experiment and actually get the game fully fleshed out. I feel pretty confident and excited about that fact, all things considered. That being said, also them taking away, basically using Candy Crush and Minecraft as their cash cows, and now taking the money that these two things actually generate and, actually being able to take some risks with these games. Specifically Minecraft, I think, is generally speaking a good thing. All in all, I'm happy. I'm happy with these silver linings. I wish they didn't have to come at the expense of so many people's livelihoods, but what can you do? Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode of High Media Headlines for today, June the 17th, 2026. We appreciate you, your time, and your listenership. I'm off to work, and I'm 2 minutes late for the first time ever, believe it or not. But regardless, I hope you join our Discord in the link in the description, and we appreciate you, your time, and your listenership. Have a lovely rest of your day. Toodaloo.